Hello, Bob and Ray. This is Fred, the Inkwell Replenisher. Still waiting on my return call from Wally Ballou.
And again, it's time for Bridget Hillary and the News, the dramatic but sometimes fascinating story of a girl radio reporter who dares to tell the truth in her hard-hitting weekly broadcasts. As our scene opens today, Bridget's childhood sweetheart, Assistant Secretary of Defense Harlow Fordyce, is just entering the rehearsal room of the Amalgamated Broadcasting System.
My, what a surprise, Harlow. We haven't seen each other since you gave me your fudge brownie at our 6th grade class picnic. I must say you've aged.
Yes, I suppose I have, Bridget. But the pressure on me at the Pentagon would break any man. And that, in fact, is why I came to see you.
2 minutes to airtime, Miss Hillary.
Why must you tell the world that I have been seen hanging around communist diplomatic headquarters? Surely you can't still be thinking of that childhood picnic we held on the lawn of the Soviet embassy.
Well, of course, that is exactly what I'm thinking of. I remember how the guard came out to chase us away, but you lingered behind to chat with him. Now, that's a bad scene for a top Defense Department official, Harlow.
Well, I wasn't in the Defense Department then. I was only 11 years old.
1 minute to airtime, Miss Hillary.
I was merely asking the embassy guard if I could use their bathroom, and what you're trying to make out of that now would break any man.
Well, I have no personal desire to destroy you, Harlow, but I can't let a long-time friendship interfere with my job of reporting the news. And if you're the one who's passing secrets along to the commies, the public has a right to know.
Bridget, it's been 30 years since I spoke to that embassy guard, and even then I found that he didn't understand a word of English.
You're on the air, Miss Hillary.
Well, I don't want to overstay my welcome, since you probably have to be getting into the studio, but I had to make this one last effort to show you I'm innocent.
Well, you may think you're innocent now, Harlow, but perhaps you'll see things differently after my broadcast tonight. I'm going to reveal the fact that you brought 2 fudge brownies to our class picnic, and only the one you gave me has ever been accounted for. I suppose it was the other one that you slipped to the guard that had the microfilm baked inside.
Bridget, that's a wild accusation with no facts to support it whatsoever. But when the story reaches Washington, it'll be enough to break a man.
Your program's off the air now, Miss Hillary. When you didn't show up in the studio, they filled the time with a very long weather report.
Well, I must go, Bridget. I'll need all the time I can get to prepare my defense.
Well, it's been grand seeing you again, Harlow, and remember, I haven't done this to hurt you. I've done it to protect the national security of the United States of America.
And so Bridget's personal affection for Harlow Fordyce proves weaker than her love for the country where she may have been born. But can fudge brownies really mean that little to any woman? Be sure to join us next time when we'll hear the guard at the Soviet embassy say,
Maybe the same person, but he was shorter then.
That's in the next exciting episode of Bridget Hillary and the News. Our Bob and Ray program to encourage young inventors is still in full swing. We haven't mentioned this for a while. We got 3 more letters last week from people who seek publicity and financial backing to get their inventions on the market, and our staff picked out the most promising letter. As a result, we have Mr. Glendenning Mackenzie here with us. That's a real Scotch name, isn't it, sir?
Well, I really couldn't say. I've become so lost in the world of science that I really don't pay much attention to my name. In fact, if I didn't carry my driver's license and Social Security card around with me, I'd probably forget who I was.
Well, when we sent for Glendenning Mackenzie, you came, so I guess that's who you are.
I guess so.
As I understand it, Mr. Mackenzie, you've invented a new miracle plant food that could revolutionize American agriculture.
That's right. By using the Mackenzie mineral supplement, your average farmer could harvest a crop every week or 10 days during the summer months.
Wow. Well, there's one thing about that kind of thing that puzzles me. You're from Chicago. How did a city dweller like yourself happen to come up with a purely agricultural invention?
Well, actually, I didn't remember that I'm from Chicago, but I do know how I got the idea for the invention.
Well, will you tell us about that?
Well, a couple of years ago, I was driving through the Midwest, and I noticed how many farmers were sitting on their front porches or lying on hammocks and things like that. Finally, I stopped and asked one of them why it wasn't working.
I see. What happened. Did he hit you?
No, he said he didn't have anything to do. He was just sitting around waiting for his crops to grow. And that's how I got the idea for inventing something to make the stuff grow faster.
Well, now, you've brought into the studio a corn stalk planted in a flower pot, and you told us if you put Mackenzie Mineral Supplement on it, we'd see it grow right here in the studio, on the air. That's pretty hard to believe.
Yes, it's pretty hard to believe. In fact, I don't even remember saying it. But I'll be glad to put plant food on this corn stalk and see what happens.
All right, I think this is going to be interesting. You go right ahead, will you?
Now, you'll notice that the mineral supplement is a white powdery mixture, and I pour just about a teaspoon of it around the base of the cornstalk like this.
Whoa! Hey, that's terrible, Mr. Mackenzie. The stalk shot up so fast it went right through the window of the client's booth up there.
Sometimes it's wise to dilute the supplement with water.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that. I think it's just time that you get it out of here. It's really made a big mess.
I may have trouble getting it through the door. Oh, say, if any offers come in for financial backing, you have my address. I don't remember it offhand.
No, we'll be in touch with you
Okay,
somehow.
goodbye.
Goodbye. And now the makers of Tingle, the long-wearing dental floss created from spun glass fiber, invite you to join us for another exciting adventure of Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
My name is Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy. Some of the toughest espionage assignments our government can hand out come my way. Recently, I was back at the Home Office, catching up on paperwork between dangerous jobs, and late one night, a strange-looking character, armed with a single-action, manually operated broom, entered without even knocking. He made his way over to my desk and spoke.
Sorry I burst in without knocking, sir, but there's never anybody working in this office.
I know. I'm usually out of the country on some dangerous assignment. The name is Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Oh, pleased to meet you. I'm Stuart C. Tinglehoff, janitor. Do you want all this stuff here in the wastebasket thrown out?
Yes, I've been cleaning out my files, and those are all obsolete documents that have been declassified now.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was hoping there might be a drawing in there of the R-427 long-range rocket, the one that our enemies don't even know we have. But I guess that wouldn't be obsolete or just declassified, would it?
No, definitely not. The R-427 is top secret. The plans are locked up tight in my file cabinet here.
Well, I can sure understand why. Just imagine a rocket that only weighs 24 pounds, but is capable of hitting any spot in the world. I'd swear a thing like that could never be built.
Well, you're only amazed because you don't know about its radical new design. Here, let me get the plans out of the file so I can show you how it works.
Yes. This is real nice of you, taking so much time to show a top secret to a lowly janitor.
You're certainly entitled to see it. After all, you're an American citizen who pays taxes.
Well, actually, that doesn't happen to be true, but I'm much obliged anyway. Why don't you just lay the plans out there under the light so I can get a good snapshot of them with my camera?
All right. Would you like for me to pose behind the desk here, smiling and pointing to them?
No, I don't think so. People who asked me to take the picture didn't mention having you in it at all.
Well, yes, maybe they just collect photos of secret diagrams.
Probably. Well, that's getting to be a very popular hobby in the foreign country where they live.
Well, I'm sorry that these diagrams cover several pages. I hope you don't run out of film.
Oh, don't worry about that. I've been carrying a lot of film around in my overalls for more than 3 weeks, just hoping a chance like this might come up.
Well, it certainly shows a healthy interest in what we do around here. How long have you been working for the spy department?
A little more than 3 weeks. I replaced Walter Dimmick as night janitor on this floor.
Oh, yeah, I remember Walter. What's he doing now?
Nothing. He was murdered. His body's been stuffed in an unused locker in the basement.
Is that so? Do the authorities have any idea who killed him?
No, they don't even know he's dead yet. I'm using his ID and punching his time card every night, so everybody thinks Walter's still around.
Well, that seems a little irregular, and I suppose I should file a report about it. But since you're being kind enough to cover for him while he's absent, we'll just keep it our little secret.
Good.
And I'll leave a note for the chief agent saying, office situation found to be normal by Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Friends, there's no better way to keep this fine entertainment on the air than by patronizing our generous sponsors. So rush out now and buy several 500-yard rolls of Tingle, the dental floss that never shreds because it's made of spun glass fiber. And join us soon for more exciting adventures in the career of Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Jim Stumbo here. Listen, if this show ain't funny, do I get my money back at the end?
And now, the United States Mint, one of the nation's leading producers of fine new money, presents another dramatic story from the files of the emergency ward.
Greetings and welcome. I'm Dr. Gerhard Snutton, handsome young physician who's not yet established a practice of his own. Instead, I work in the emergency ward of a big city hospital. The emergency ward is a place where the story of human misery unfolds 24 hours a day. Take the other evening, for example. I was utilizing a spare moment to make some vital calculations when my associate, Nurse Roodhouse, turned to me and said,
Why are you scribbling all those figures on the back of that sports car magazine, Doctor?
I was just trying to determine how many tonsillectomies I'd have to perform in order to buy a new 1976 Alfa Hispano. It would have to be either 8 operations at $3,000 each, or 3,000 operations at $8 each.
Well, normally a tonsillectomy costs more than $8, but less than $3,000. Can't you set your fees somewhere in between?
No, I'm sorry. The car I want to buy costs $24,000. The only numbers that go into $24,000 evenly are 8 and 3,000.
I think that man who just came in is blowing his whistle at us, Doctor.
So it would appear, Nurse Roodhouse. Stand back and let me handle this. My good man, speaking as the physician in charge while Dr. Moberly is on vacation, I can assure you that making noise in this hospital is forbidden. Is that clear?
Well, I think he's trying to tell you that he can't get the whistle out of his mouth, Doctor.
Nonsense. Anyone can take a whistle out of his mouth unless he has some neurotic reason for keeping it in there. Sir, suppose you start by telling me about your unhappy childhood.
Well, Doctor, I really don't think you can psychoanalyze a person who just stands there blowing a whistle. You have to take the whistle out of his mouth first.
No, he has to remove it of his own free will in order to be cured. However, we shouldn't be discussing this case in front of the patient. Sir, would you be good enough to wait in the hall?
Hey, Doc, guess what happened?
Well, it's quite obvious what happened. You stumbled and fell down like a clumsy oaf, but you're now able to accept this flaw in your character, so it's no longer necessary for you to keep a whistle in your mouth. Isn't that correct?
Well, partly, as you say, I stumbled and fell down like a clumsy oaf, but the main thing that did was to shake the whistle loose so it could fall out of my mouth. You see, it got stuck to my lips when I blew it right after I'd eaten a taffy apple. That's why I came here for emergency treatment.
Well, if you told me that in the first place, I wouldn't have had to guide you through the long process of psychoanalysis.
Well, the main thing is that I got well again. What do I owe you, Doc?
Well, most psychiatrists charge at least $50 an hour, but since your treatment was completed in less than that, I'd say $1.25 should be about right.
Yeah, well, that sounds fair to me, too. So here you are.
Thank you.
And goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, Nurse Roodhouse, you've once again seen medical science enable a crazy mixed-up kid to start leading a useful life. So just enter the notation in your casebook, patient released, cured.
Join us again soon when the United States Mint, one of the nation's leading producers of money, will bring you another dramatic story from the files of the emergency ward. Welcome once again to Big Scoop, the documentary program that pays tribute to the nation's working newspapermen. Here at our main news desk, prepared to tell you about this week's Big Scoop Award, is our Big Scoop editor, Big Fred Scoop.
Thank you and welcome to the Big Scoop. This week's handsome certificate, together with a cash award of $15, goes to Vasili Hummert, ace reporter of the Butte, Montana Evening Territorial Dispatch. It was a keen sense of observation that set Vasily Hummert on the trail of his big scoop. One evening, just a little more than a year ago, he rushed in to tell the city editor about it.
Hummert, how many times have I told you not to slam the door when you come into this office? I just get all the pictures hanging straight when you come in and slam the door, and they're all cockeyed again.
I'm sorry, Chief. I just stumbled across a story that could be my big scoop. You remember that little Feddersen girl who was kidnapped up around Cut Bank about 20 years ago?
Of course I remember it. I covered the story myself.
Chief, I'm convinced that the young woman who calls herself Phoebe Burnwell is really the Feddersen girl. I ran into Phoebe on the street this afternoon and noticed that she has a diamond-shaped birthmark on her wrist, just like the Feddersen girl had. Chief, I want you to take me off my regular beat so I can dig up the evidence I need to print the story.
Hummert, you're playing with fire. The Burnwells are the most prominent family in town. If you're wrong about this thing, we'll have more libel suits stacked against us than we can handle.
Chief, as a working newspaperman, it's my job to expose evil wherever I may find it.
And so Vasily Hummert began piecing together pieces of evidence that were to add up to his big scoop. He visited the Burnwell home, intending to question the girl's mother without arousing her suspicions.
Mrs. Burnwell, I know you snatched that Feddersen kid 20 years ago and have her posing now as your daughter. Why don't you come clean?
Why, that's the most absurd thing I ever heard of. If you'll wait a minute, I'll show you Phoebe's birth certificate.
Madam, don't make things worse with forged documents.
He visited the family doctor.
Doctor, I'm convinced that Phoebe Burnwell is really the kidnapped Feddersen child. I need your help to prove it.
You're off your rocker, pal. I was there when Phoebe was born.
Doctor, you could lose your license for lying to obstruct justice.
And to clinch his case, Vasily Hummert took a picture of Phoebe Burnwell and showed it to the parents of the Feddersen child.
Well, folks, what do you say?
No, she didn't look anything like that.
Well, see what the jury has to say about that.
Armed with the facts, Vasily returned to face his city editor.
Chief, I've run into a few bottlenecks. I'll need a little more time.
Hummert, you've run out of time. There are 5 slander suits pending against this paper as a result of your tomfoolery. You're fired. And don't slam the door on your way out. And so it was that Vasily Hummert reached the end of his newspaper career at the Mute Evening Territorial Dispatch. The 5 slander cases were settled out of court for a total of $225,000. And Hummert is now working at a closed filling station in Great Falls. We're proud to have told you his story this week on The Big Scoop.
Okay, and let's talk to a gentleman here. He's waving semaphore flags. You wig-wagging to anybody in particular, sir, or is that just kind of a general distress signal you're sending out?
No, it's not a distress signal at all. I'm just notifying my buddy over the other side there of the studio where I'll meet him after the show.
Oh, you weren't able to find seats together, you and your buddy, huh?
Originally we had seats together, but then we moved. He moved anyway. His rabbit was afraid of that lady's turtle.
Okay, well, let's not start that discussion again. Let's hunt for somebody else to visit with. Maybe a
I think
lady?
I'd make a likely subject for that. I have some terribly interesting views on almost everything.
All right. Afraid I've already run into quite a few kooks today. I don't know whether you have something out of the ordinary to talk about.
Well, there's really nothing about me as unorthodox as all that. In fact, I'd be just a typical run-of-the-mill housewife if I had time to keep house, but you know how it is when you operate a Pony Express relay station.
No, I'll be frank with you, I really don't know how it is.
Well, you have to keep the fresh horses saddled up and ready, and of course, with the riders coming at you from both directions, body just doesn't get a minute's peace.
Ma'am, I don't know how you expect to get any sympathy when it's common knowledge the Pony Express stopped running almost 100 years ago.
Even the branch line between Flushing and Bayside?
Well, I don't think there was ever a branch line between Flushing and Bayside at all.
Well, I wonder where in the world those young punks go with all the horses I give them.
I don't know, but I hope you have fun hunting for them. And right now, back to Ray on the giant flammable stage.
See, I've taken the liberty to dig into the mailbag a few moments ago because I believe it's been, at least a month since we answered any letters.
At least that.
Yeah, and this first one, picked at random, is from a lady up in Vermont who listens,
Lovely
and she
state.
writes...
Beautiful state.
On either the 3rd or 4th of April, your show was not heard in our area because of a special political broadcast. Some local candidate babbled for hours about his plan to reduce the number of cows that wander across Vermont highways. And can you tell me what I missed by not hearing your show that day? Bob, I'm afraid I draw a blank on that one. Do you remember?
It took her a long time to write that question, didn't it? Was that the 3rd or the 4th, did she say?
Yeah, the woman doesn't seem sure of the exact date.
Well, that's not too important. I remember that we devoted the entire show on both days, the 3rd of April and the 4th, to a discussion of cows crossing Vermont highways.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Of course, we were in favor of having more cows on the roads up there, so all the woman really missed was hearing the other side of the argument.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move on to the next letter now.
Don't have any more. We'll try not to wait so long next time before we open up the old mailbag to answer all the cards and letters from you wonderful people out there. Hi, this is your old trail scout, Cheyenne, Wyoming, meandering your way with another tale of the Old West. Now, not many of us know the name of Hans Upmeyer, the first cattle baron of the Old West. Back in '78, Hans had just come from the old country, all eager and anxious to please. He was kind of dumb, but he was living proof of how a poor immigrant boy could get along real well if he had a mind to. First thing Hans Upmeyer did when he got to the Panhandle, he changed his name. Well, what'll it be, stranger?
Well, I think a beer would do.
Yeah, coming up.
Looks like good beer.
Yeah, we keep it in satchels where the sun can't get at it. Say, I never seen you here before. What's your name?
Hands up.
All right. I'll give you all the money you want. Just don't pull the gun on me.
But
Here's the money. $1,600, all I got. Take it and get out of here.
I think I settled in this town. Yeah, I settled here.
Well, Hands Up didn't settle there. No, sir. Wasn't that he wasn't a sociable man. It's just that after he introduced himself to everybody in town, well, they kind of stopped talking to him, so he moseyed along. Went north to the Dakotas, shouting his name at people all during the long ride. He arrived in Deadhead a rich man.
Desk clerk? Where's the desk clerk?
Right here, mister. You want a room?
Yeah, I want a room with a bed.
That'll be $4 in advance, mister. Sign the register.
Good, I'll give you the money right after I sign. Where do I sign?
Right there, mister.
Hands up.
Oh, not again. This is the 6th time this week the place has been stuck up. Here, take this. Just about cleans me out.
What's the number of my room, please?
Say, you're certainly a cool customer for a fellow who just stuck me up. I better not fool around with you. Your room is 217.
Thank you. All the streets are paved with gold, but all I get is...
Well, it wasn't too long before Hans was a cattle baron, owned just about everything in sight. That is, until the Indian uprising. You see, while his house was being burned to the ground, he thought he might as well try to be sociable with the chief of the Indian party. What name you go by, owner of house burning to ground?
Hands up.
Well, I'll be darned if he didn't get something for the mention. An arrow in his chest. And for right now, trail hounds, this is Cheyenne, Wyoming, loping out of sight till the next time. Till then, keep them holsters full. And right now, welcome to the Collector's Item Show, kind of a special feature where we welcome our guests to the studio. They're here to tell us about the rare and unusual items they've collected. And a quick glance at my card indicates our first guest is Mr. Ben Aldorf. What did you bring with you today, Mr. Aldorf?
Well, I thought you might be interested in seeing this piece of wood.
Not unless it has a background, I wouldn't.
Well, I'm no fool. I understand that the things on this show are supposed to be rare and unusual.
Right.
Now, this piece of wood is off the original deck of Robert Fulton's steamboat.
Really? You mean that piece of wood you got there was probably walked on by Robert Fulton?
Probably. I know it was. It came off the floor of Fulton's cabin.
Certainly is a beautiful piece of wood. Would you describe it for our
All
listeners?
right, it's about 4 inches long, about 2 inches thick, except where it's splinted and slopes off at the end. The deck paint is in good condition, except for the splinted end, where the natural color of the wood shows through.
See that the splinter is about an inch long and very, very thin, about a 16th of an inch, I'd say.
Pretty close. I've got to be very careful with that splinter. Usually I keep it covered with absorbent cotton, but I knew you'd want to look at it, so I uncovered it.
Well, I appreciate your confidence in me, Mr. Aldorf. Could I hold the piece of wood that came off Robert Fulton's steamboat?
Well, I'll have to put it in a plastic bag full of grass, just as a precaution, you understand. It's no reflection on you.
I know. Put it in a bag, then. I understand.
All right, there it is. Take a look at her.
It's a little disappointing. I can't see too much with all that grass covering it.
Well, that's the best I can do. I can't take any chances with a thing like
We
that.
understand, and you're a fortunate man, Mr. Ben Aldorf. Priceless possessions don't often fall into the hands of the ordinary person. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And now we have Mrs. Helen Baffle with a collector's item to show me. Just what is the item, Ms. Baffle?
One of the strings off Nero's violin, the one he played while Rome was burning. Look here, you can see where it's singed.
Oh, made the string turn color a little bit, too, didn't it?
Well, I think that end of the string turned color because that's where I hold it when I show it to people.
Mrs. Baffle, if you don't mind the suggestion, I'd mount the string on a board if I were you. One end of it's beginning to curl.
Well, it started to curl about 2 years ago.
Did that panic you?
No, I took it to a music shop where a violin expert rubbed it with a strengthening agent. It used to be curled much more than what you see now. Incidentally, I thought you might like to know that the string is in such good condition it can be played
It's
on.
amazing. After all, it's very old.
Now, I brought a bow here to the studio, and if you hold one end of the string, I can hold the other and still have a free hand left to fiddle on it. Here, take one end. You got
So
it?
thin, it's hard to tell. I think I've got it.
All right, now listen to this.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it?
Yeah. What makes it even more amazing is the fact I wasn't holding the other end of the string. I dropped it before you started playing. I'd look into that bow you've got there, Mrs. Baffle. That's a real collector's item, too.
Well, I'll look into it if you say so.
I think you should.
Close in 5 minutes.